Rock the Ripple. Rock the Ripple. The Rock the Ripple podcast with Narita McInnes.
Let's do this. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rock the Ripple podcast. I'm your host, Narita McInnes. As always, it is so awesome to be here with you today. And today I have another very special guest. He is a father, a husband, a former police officer from Melbourne, Australia, who is now living and working in Thailand. He is someone with so much wisdom to share, particularly around self-healing and working through PTSD. There is, of course, so much more to this awesome human. He is the one and only Matt Vale. Matty, welcome to the show.
Jesus, Narita, I've never been introduced like that. That's fantastic. I actually feel special. So yeah, I don't get to feel special that often, and yeah, you've just done it there. So already on the back foot.
Awesome. I love to do a bit of an intro for my guests. You know, it's just I'm so chuffed that you take the time to hang out for a bit and have a casual old chin wag. So I guess to kick things off, like always, I'll sort of say, you know, who is Matty Vale? Like, talk to us, introduce us.
All right. Cool. Before I start, I have to say, man, I love the retro intro that you have to the podcast. It's fantastic. It reminds me of like when I was young, you know, in the 90s and the radio programs and stuff like that, man. I think it's a killer. So yeah, I really appreciate that. It's cool.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that.
Cool. But who am I? Look, I'm a guy that grew up in the western suburbs of Melbourne. Sort of in a city around the sort of Altona North Newport area. Back in the day, it was pretty much Bougainville around that area. So yeah, she was a tough sort of working class upbringing. When I left school, I joined the Navy. I was there for a couple of years, and then I was lucky enough I got accepted into Victoria Police. That was something that I always wanted to pursue. I don't know why. I guess as a kid I wasn't really good as a crook, so I decided to join the biggest gang in the world. And become a policeman. So yeah, so I did that for a few years. And do you want me to talk a little bit in depth about what I did in the police force and stuff?
Yeah, wherever your heart wants to go. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Look, I won't try to bang on it too much, like about what I've seen and stuff like that, because it's really low energy. And but I guess you have to see the dark side of some of the stuff that I went through, so you can appreciate the light.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So look, joining the job, I was the type of guy I seen a lot. Some people can go through their whole career and never see too much. You can see my little my carer dog comes up to me now when I'm telling the bad side. She wants to baby me.
Just gorgeous.
But look, the time when I joined during the late 90s, there was an epidemic of heroin on the streets. And a lot of your audience that are sort of around my age, they'll probably understand how bad it was.
Mm.
But in a shift, we'd get anything up to, you know, between 5 to sometimes 15 ODs in a shift. And as a young fellow, I think I was 23 at the time. Mm. I was just surrounded by heaviness and death on the streets of Melbourne. If around Burke and Russell Street there, up around the top end of the city, was where mainly all the dealing was done. And then all the laneways around there was just full of kids shooting up, and you know, some would be okay, some would drop. You'd be able to get ambulances for some, and they could get Narcan and get brought back around. But then a lot of them would just die there in the gutters of the main streets of Melbourne. So it was a bit of an introduction to what police life was like. Went on from there, like I was in the job, I was what they call a shit magnet, in that like everything I'd go to would be a drama. Like that, I would go to multiple fatal car accidents, you know, suicides, stabbings, murder-suicides I've seen. Yeah, it's funny, like with all this stuff in the news lately about domestics and stuff like that, brings back a lot of memories of, there was a couple of murder-suicides I went to, one in particular where the guy was still alive, killed his girlfriend and then stabbed himself. So you can imagine there how traumatic that is, and ambulances are trying to work on him, and And after what he's just done, and you can see it right in front of you, it's yeah. And being sort of on the front line of policing, I get to see everything before you know, other units are called in or special units, and so you don't really have time to prepare yourself mentally for what you see. You're just at the cold face. It's just bang, you get a call, you turn up, and you're the first one to deal with it. So I've got mates that are in forensics and stuff like that, and people say, "Oh, how do they look at what they see?" But they've got an hour an hour or two before they'll turn up to a crime scene, so they've got time to mentally prepare for what they're going to see.
Yeah.
As opposed to just walking into it blind. So so as you can imagine, there's a lot of trauma. Like if you're the first one that turns up to a fatal car accident, I've got people screaming, people in the car that know that someone's dead, that their friend's dead, and they're screaming, and that trauma of the scream, that just lives with you.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things you take it on board, because I have to be the calm one. When my first reaction, man, like when I see a kid dead in the backseat of a car, I want to scream as well, but I can't, because I have to take that professionalism, that measured approach. I'm the one who has to be the grown up and try to sort it out. Where, I don't think anybody wants to have that job. So
it's big, isn't it? It's so
yeah,
big.
it is, mate.
Yeah. And you did that for a number of years, didn't you?
About 13 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Up until 2010. So but during that probably around the mid 2000s, I was getting pretty dark, yeah. And I was thinking about, like, I needed to get counselling and stuff like that, but I tried it with through the police, like their counselling, and they're just all oh well, it's okay here, maybe you should take some antidepressants or all that type of stuff. And I'm the type of person, man, I don't like taking Panadol if I've got a headache. I'd rather try to. So a friend of mine put me onto a guy that lived just outside of Melbourne in a place called Beveridge. And I went up, and this guy does energy healing. So I went and seen him, and I thought, what could be the worst thing that could happen? You know, like, I get to see this guy, talk about some problems, and we'll see how it goes. So I go up and see this guy, and he's like a bit of a big fella, like not what I expected. I expected to go see some sort of hippie type, you know, like thinking that I thought you know, be some sort of weaselly sort of, you know, hippie guy. But this guy's a tough looking dude, and I'm thinking, man, he just didn't fit the profile for what I was expecting. So anyway, I see this guy, and I started talking to him, and you know, it felt like I'd spoken to him a million times before. I don't know what it was about him. And he was telling me about energy movement, and he goes, I can't tell you what it is. He goes, I have to show you. He goes, you have to feel it. And he goes, if you don't mind the pain, he said, I can get to where the pain's coming from. He said, but it's gonna hurt. He said, especially if you're open to it. He releases the energy through pain, like through pushing on the spot where it's regressed. I didn't know much about energy movement. I didn't know that, like, your thoughts aren't in your head. They actually get stored up in your body. And yeah, I had no idea about the way the energy system worked at the time. So anyway, he gave me a little dot where he just pushed on a part of just in my shoulder. And he's telling me, like, well, what are you thinking? And then these thoughts started to come. As soon as I found that I breathed through it, then these images would come. So anyway, jumped on the table. He got a few spots in my back, and he got to one point, and every emotion in my body, everything that I had stored up, all this, what could you say? It was just like raw emotion that had built up in my body, that I started to cry. But when I cried, it was like this, it was like a howl that come from the middle of my stomach.
Yeah.
And I've never felt a release like it. It probably took me about 5 minutes of crying to be able to realize that it was gone. And that was my first experience with sort of energy healing. So yeah.
How profound. Like, I do know, and I can relate to what you're talking about, because it's like this visceral thing, and it just like the emotion it takes over. You got no control over it, and it's big, isn't it? It's so big.
Oh, and being the first one, and I think how much pain I had on the inside, I didn't realize how much trauma I had stored up. And that was only the first release I've ever had, and there's been millions since. So but yeah, that was just profound. And then after that, I was just like, man, and then this guy, like, I'd book in for an hour or an hour and a half session. We'd end up sitting there for 3 hours after he finished his session, because we just talked that much.
Wow.
Because I was generally interested in how he did it. And then look, I kept on going back to him, and we did stuff where I've seen past lives before, because he had this way of pushing on a point where my eyes would flick, and when my eyes started to flick, you could see I could see past lives. It was weird, and deaths, and I could see a monk, and he said it was obviously he was saying that it's a spirit guide or a helper, but this monk, and this is crazy, because like I can still picture this. He was telling me he's saying, ask it its name, and I was saying, I couldn't visually say the name, but I'm writing it RYU. That this spirit guide was there that was telling me its name. In the debrief, once we'd finished, he goes, look out the window, look at the car out the window, and tell me what you see. He'd always park his car at the back. I've never seen his car before.
Yeah.
But the license plate on his car starts with RYU.
No way. Oh, wow.
Man.
Far out.
So that was like, like I've never seen his car. And how would I come up with a random thing like that?
That's right. That's right. Oh, I love those stories. They're so powerful, aren't they?
Oh, this guy, he was just like a big teddy bear, mate. I've never met anyone like him. It's just so full of life, and just a brilliant person. But on the flip side of that, what I found is that because my heart space was open, and I don't know what happens once you open these. Well, I do know what happens once you open these things. Working was become a whole lot tougher. Yeah. Especially trying to be a policeman in that sort of environment, because at that stage the environment of Victoria Police becomes really, really toxic. It went from a sort of like a job where you were there to help people and try to, I wouldn't say be nice, but like, say if I pulled over a car and someone was having a bad day, I'd say, look, mate, just do the right thing, like have a good day. Yeah. I'm not going to make your day worse. Or if, a taxi driver's driving all night and he fails to indicate or something like that, what am I going to give him a ticket for? He's just worked all night. Why am I going to take his money? Yeah. It's not in my interest. But it went from that sort of policing to ticket after ticket. It was about revenue raising. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So, and when your heart space is open and you start seeing these things, and domestics and all that type of thing, I've found I was more porous after that. Yeah. So a lot of this energy I was taking on more than what I was before. And I couldn't close that off, you know? Yeah.
It sounds like, there's so many things there. It sounds like this guy that you're talking about, like when you're talking about it, I'm picturing this guy, and I can really feel into his energy. He just feels like an awesome dude. Do you know the name of the modality that he was practicing, or was it a range of different things? Just if I had a feeling people might ask.
Yeah, no, it was a few different things. I think he trained in Chinese healing. Yeah. But then he's got everything that, it was just strange things. I don't know exactly what he specializes in, but he just, I think he adjusts everything to what you can handle. Yes. You know what I mean? Like the way he worked with me, I don't think he'd work that way. It was just that, like, I was at I was just like, mate, do whatever,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
If it's gonna hurt, whatever, just get it out.
Yeah.
So
He would have loved
yeah,
that. He would have loved that
yeah,
too. And I can
yeah.
imagine, like you were saying as well, too, like, I mean, already sort of, starting at 23 and seeing all the shit that you've had to see from such a young age, and just being that first responder out there, to then having your heart cracked open even more. Like, I like how you use that, more porous, like you can really feel. And I mean, did it become a matter of learning how to turn that on and off, or has it become like a different kind of way to balance that, or how have you found that since then?
Yeah, look, at the time, I never found a way to turn it off and on.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever want to turn it off.
No.
I actually like being able to feel.
Yeah.
Um, like even if I had the chance to turn it off, I don't think I would, because like you can't live in your heart space all the time, because you'd be a mental wreck.
Yeah.
But you've got to learn to be resilient with it. But yeah, I'd never want to protect it or turn it off, because I love that about who I am.
Mm, yeah.
That's one of the things that makes me me. And
Yeah.
I'd never want to turn that off.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it can be like, it's a double-edged sword, because you can, like, when you can feel, like, you can feel. So you can feel the really great and awesome, but you can also tap into the feelings that are tough as well, of people around you and all that sort of stuff. So it's a gifted, but it can also have its tough side, can't it?
Oh, it certainly can. And you find, like, I get a lot of people that come and try to dump their problems. Like, they'll come in to have a chat, and that you can see them, they've got their luggage bags ready to go. They'll come in, they'll dump it here, and then they'll walk away feeling great. And it's like, mate, you forgot to take your bags with you. I don't want them here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. It's finding a way to balance that too, because I think you have got such an open heart, and people do, when people feel comfortable with people, and they know that they can automatically trust, they will just automatically start talking and chatting away, won't they?
Oh, like nothing else. Like, it's funny. Like, I get people coming in here all the time, and it's just, they just say they just feel like they've known me forever.
Yeah.
And it's a funny thing. Like, even talking with you, we're talking with Dale, and it's funny, because we've all got this interest where but when we start to talk, it's just so comfortable. And
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's awesome. Soul family, maybe.
Yeah, it is. There's something to this realm that, I don't know what it is, but there's definitely something going on.
Absolutely. And just when you were speaking about where you are right now, for people at home who might not know where you are in Thailand, and you run a cafe.
Yeah. I've got a small restaurant and cafe here in Caron Beach in Phuket. So I've been here for a couple of years. So the little place here, it's a labor of love.
Yeah.
It's especially when we get to the story about how it all happened this time around. But
Yeah.
she's a good little place. It's a place where, to rebuild it all, and the way I've got it here, I just love it here. I didn't love it as much before as what I do now. And everything I've built here, it's just it's part of me.
Yeah.
I've really been able to rediscover the place, and to make it part of myself. And I think that's the appeal of why people love it. The rooms here, the ratings, I'm one of the top rated places in Phuket now.
Fantastic.
It's just but it's just the love that I've been able to put into it that I think people really feel. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine they would. Well, let's go to that story. Since we're talking
All right.
about now, this is the time. Let's do it. Roll into it.
Cool. Probably start what? I'll start 2019. 2019. We went back over to Australia. When I first come over here in 2010, I used to teach scuba diving and stuff like that. That's where the heart space stuff really comes in, because I was really good at that, because people being nervous and scared and panicky and stuff, I was able to use that heart space thing to be able to feel their uncomfortableness. And So anyway, about 2016, we moved back to Australia for 2 years. I had to look after my mum. I nursed my mum through her last couple of years. So that was a really good thing. 18, we moved back here. Well, end of 18, start of 19. So we were looking at things to do, and I thought, okay, look, I knew this guest house hotel thing here, and so we took it over at the end of 2019, rebuilt the place and everything, and started to get everything going again. And then, so I think we got about 2.5 months of running, and then the dreaded what do you call it on your channel?
Oh, the old hoo-ha, the whatever it was. I don't even know.
the old kung flu come around, and
Yeah.
and so that kicked off. So that was basically so by the midpoint of March that year, we were affected. Everyone was gone, and within a month of that, we were living in a ghost town.
Wow.
So I did do some videos at the time, just walking around the streets here,
Yeah.
just so people could appreciate what it was like. So, but yeah, it was literally a ghost town. Me and my son would go to the beach, which is only just 250 meters away. We'd go for a swim, and there would literally be nobody else on the beach.
Wow.
And that beachfront there is about 4.5 kilometers long.
Yeah. It's such a popular beach, that one too, you know?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. So yeah, literally no one. It was actually freaky swimming in it, because you'd be like, yeah, it's just, yeah, that energy of no one there, you know.
Mm.
So anyway, we sort of continued on as we could, you know. Like I ran the place like an old-fashioned speakeasy, because I wasn't going to close down and be told what to do. So and there was a lot of old guys and stuff around here that needed somewhere to go. Like they were just stuck in a, you know, a 1-bedroom bungalow for like 3 months, and I was like, no, yeah, people need somewhere to go.
Yeah.
So I just had a couple of rules, you know, like there was no one was allowed to talk about the situation, and no one was allowed to talk about watch the news, have the news on while they were here.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted a completely free space of all that type of stuff, you know.
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah. So we were doing okay for a good 12 months or so, but then then all the injection sort of stuff started to come around here. And it was the same as everywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, you should go and get it, and then it was getting to the point where, well, if you don't get it, all your licenses are pulled, everything, and you're no longer allowed to be in business ever.
Yeah.
So we were getting to that point, and it was like, well, what do you do? Do you? Because at that stage, I had pretty much my life savings invested in a place to rebuild a place that I got about 2 months of work out of.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, sorry, mate. You're gonna lose everything unless you get the special vitamins that the government wants you to take. And I was like, well, there was no way that was ever going to happen. So it wasn't even a choice that I had to make.
Yeah.
It was just like, well, I guess, mate, if they want to take our licenses, they're going to have to come and take it.
Yeah.
So which they did, and that was okay. So we'd already sent stuff because my wife, her mum lives up in the north of Thailand, up towards the border of Laos, up in the northeast. So we started sending stuff up that way, and so yeah, we were planning to. I think it was like the end of September that we were planning to leave. So we got to the date where we were ready to go. We had the bus. We jumped in the bus. Everything was closed off here. We sold all the stuff that we could, and then it was at that stage that we realised that my lawyer, who looks after all my paperwork and stuff here, he'd actually done a dodgy on me and about 30 other people.
Oh my gosh.
So we were stuck in a point where it was like, well, I can't travel, I can't go anywhere. And they wanted to deport all of us
Wow.
from the country. Now, at that stage, sorry about that. At that stage, we were, if Australia was still doing quarantine, so if I had have got deported from here and have to go back to Australia, I would have had to gone through quarantine, which was 2 weeks.
Yeah.
My wife, she didn't want to come back to Australia at the time because she couldn't do quarantine. My son was upset. Me and my son are very, very close. He didn't want to leave my side, so he wanted to come with me. But then all these considerations started coming in because I had to think really clearly about what that would mean. So if I went back to Australia, went into quarantine, being described it as an anti-vaxxer, which is supposedly crazy in itself.
Yeah.
I've got a 9-year-old, he was 9 at the time. I've got a 9-year-old son with me. And then they say, well, you've got PTSD as well. What would be my chances of keeping my son in Australia?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and there was no end date at this stage. Like people, I don't think people realize that towards the end of 2021, there was no end in sight. It was just quarantine. That's just the way of life. And then you start thinking, well, what happens if they call DHS and say this guy's a crazy anti-vaxxer, and he's been retired from the police for PTSD? He shouldn't have a child. So all these things I had to start taking into consideration.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So pretty much for 9 weeks we were living in a house here, basically in someone's spare house. Sleeping on the floor, didn't know what was going to happen. So 9 weeks, it was just an absolute living hell.
Wow.
Not knowing where we were going to go. And so anyway, after about 9 weeks, we finally sorted it all out. It cost me, how's this, right? It cost me the exact same amount for everything that we sold here. It cost me pretty much to the dollar everything that I made from this place here. So I literally walked out the door at zero.
Wow.
Literally, I got up north, had to pay with that out of the little money that I had saved, but literally zero. I was at nothing left.
Far out. That would have been huge. Far out.
So you think like, what am I? I'm 49 now, so I would have been about 46. So 46-year-old with a wife and a 9-year-old son, and I'm starting from zero again, up in the northeast of Thailand, in the middle of rice fields where there's absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a bit of a kick in the guts because
Far out. I can imagine that just would have. I mean, it's I guess when you're going through it too, because you still have to go through it. You've got a son and a wife that you're taking care of, and you're back to sort of, like you said, square one, or that starting from scratch. Like, what was that like?
Yeah, no, like I was worse off than probably what I was when I was 15 and got my first, sort of casual job or part-time job. So yeah, it was humbling. And I remember thinking at the time, okay, like we got up there and I'm thinking, okay, look, we're living in effectively an old shack. I don't know if you know what the old village homes around Thailand are like, but they're nothing flash.
Yeah.
But again, like I remember, and this is what was humbling for me. Yeah, I remember my nana's house when I was a child in the like the early 80s.
Yeah.
She had an old cast iron stove. She had walls missing. It was an old country sort of place up in Mulwala, up there in near Yarrawonga. So I'm only one generation removed from that style of living anyway.
Yeah.
So to me, it was no big deal. For most people, like, yeah, if their curtains don't match their sofa, they'll have a meltdown. Where for me, I was just like, okay, just be humbled, take it in your stride, slow it up. I didn't know if it was going to be forever. So you think, okay, we're just going to make the best with what we've got.
Yeah.
But it was also, I seen it as a time to reset myself. I was like, okay, you've lost everything. There's nothing you can do. How am I going to reset myself to be able to cope with it.
Mm.
What can I do to make myself better? What can I learn? I wasn't like, oh, life's over and, you know,
Yeah, you
lay
knew
on
it
the
wasn't.
floor
You knew it wasn't, but you're starting again.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
was just like, okay, well, it's a good opportunity to wipe everything,
Mm.
to actually take the time to find out who and what I am.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. I think we go through life, everything, and people talk about distractions, and I don't think they know what we're being distracted from.
Mm.
And people say, oh, don't watch this news story. It's a distraction. It's a distraction. And when you ask people what a distraction is, they've got no idea what a distraction is.
Mm.
A distraction is what keeps you from you.
Yes.
That's all it is. None of us, or most people, don't know who and what they are.
Mm.
And that's what the big distraction is. It's not from another story. They're not distracting you from another story. They're distracting you from yourself.
Mm.
And I thought, okay, this is the time I get to actually find out who I am, what these traumas are, what's built up. Why did I do it to myself? Because that was the first thing I thought of. I thought, it's not other people doing it to me.
Mm.
I'm doing it to me. Why do I keep on self-sabotaging? Why do I keep on doing it to myself? So yeah, I took that responsibility. So every morning I started walking, and that's my favorite thing to do. I love to get up early and go for a walk. That's just, once you get into that habit,
Yeah.
it's life-changing.
Mm.
So then I was walking, and I was having all these thoughts while I was walking, like all these things going through my mind, and I'm thinking, you know what, this is good stuff that I'm thinking about, because like once you get in tune with your inner monologue, your inner monologue that you have running through your head all the time, it's there for a reason.
Mm.
But we rarely listen to it. If we're sitting in a car, we'll have that inner monologue going on, and straight away we're like changing the radio buttons to try to get something to fill your head with,
Yeah.
because nobody wants to listen to that inner monologue.
Mm.
And that's your intuition talking to you all the time.
Mm.
And it's just, if you can tap into that. So I'm thinking, okay, how do I remember the stuff? Because I forget it. And I'm thinking, okay, the old copper thing, always have a pen and paper.
Mm.
So what I'd do is I'd walk, and then as soon as like I'd get something from it, I'd just write it down. I'm thinking, okay, you know, because I describe it like a dream state. Like if you have a good dream or a nightmare or whatever, if you don't wake up and write it down,
Yeah.
then it's gone. You're not going to remember it the next day. So I just thought I'd take that approach. So every time I'd walk, I'd come back, and maybe I'd have a page or two of just job points. So now I'd come back, I'd write it again, write it out. I'd go and have a shower. And this is the important part, where I thought having a shower and washing the water and then coming back to it and reviewing it again would be I'd get a completely different view about what I wrote.
Mm.
And then I'd use that to either meditate on an important thing, or just acknowledge that was coming out of me. Like there were, and then I was like, then I'd get to the point where I'd actually try to focus it. I'd focus it on something that wanted to come up, like a past trauma, an accident that I'd seen or whatever. So I started to be able to focus it and use it to acknowledge what was inside myself, and then once I got rid of it, it was too easy.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because I feel like one of the biggest things is the acknowledgement of something. And once you acknowledge something, you do get to let it go. You don't, and I think some people might get scared to acknowledge some stuff because it's tough to look at, or it's trauma filled. But when you bring that to the surface, then you can let it go. You don't have to stay there. You don't have to stay in that feeling, do you?
No, 100%. Once it's acknowledged, like I've had people say, "Oh, burn it or chuck it away or whatever," but no, once you've acknowledged that that's what's inside of you, it's yeah. So I was building up to a point, and I got to a point where, okay, I was like, okay, like I wasn't breaking through anymore.
Yeah.
I felt like I was stuck, and so I got in contact with Alicia Brachet,
Yes.
who's
Yeah,
so
Cosmic Gateway. Yeah.
mate, I did see a video of hers, and straight away, again, it was just something that I did on the spur of the moment. I thought, man, she knows what she's talking about. Exactly what she said was the way I was feeling, and I was like, bang. So I made an appointment with her, did the appointment with her, and like completely opposite to what I've been through before. Like Scotty was tough and bang. Spoke with Alicia. Alicia was just such a nicest kid. She is just brilliant.
Yeah.
Just the nicest person I've ever spoken to. With all her energy stuff, man, just so gentle and genuine. And yeah, I never come across a soul like her. She's just a real special person.
She is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. But what the thing that I appreciate about good healers like that is they don't tell you what to think. They don't tell you how to get through it. But they just allow you to come into your own space to find your own way.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have got this expectation, well, I'll go and see a psychic and they'll tell me this and they'll do this and then I won't have to worry about it. No, you actually have to do it yourself. You have to do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah. A healer's only there to clear the space for you to step into.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say to facilitate that space, because ultimately you are the one who is healing yourself, and a good healer is someone who can hold the space and allow for you to do what you need to do, to see what you need to see and to process it, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they can only show you the door, can't they?
That's right. Yeah.
You know, and yeah, after I did that session, it took a couple of days, and then I got back into what I was before. But then I realized one of the biggest gaps that I had inside was the abandonment. I had this massive abandonment issue, and I could never work out what it come from, where it come from, and so wrote down all this stuff. I come back, had a shower, laid back down in the sun. I used to love to meditate in the sun. It was beautiful up north. So I laid back in the sun, and then okay, I went through this, trying to meditate on it, take it back a little bit. Man, I was back as a 3-year-old, back in my mum's house with my sisters. Bang, my mum was angry. She was going to work. She was saying that she's going to work and she's never coming back. All my sisters are crying. I'm crying. Bang. I remember looking at the floor because I was trying to ground myself on the floor to stay there. I could see the carpet, and this is carpet that I could never remember. After I'd finished with it, dealt it, let it go, I called one of my sisters and I said, when we were kids, was the carpet like this real weird grey colour? And she's like, yeah, how did you remember that? I'm like, mate, I was just there.
Wow.
So, and that was one of the last things I had, was this really bad attachment and abandonment issue from my mum saying that she was leaving and never coming back when I probably would have been about 2 years old.
Wow. And was she just saying it, or did she not come back?
No, she'd come back. Of course,
Yeah,
she'd come back.
she was just cracking the shits at the kids. Yeah. But that causes trauma, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yep, that's it. Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be a massive thing. All it could be is a blow up, but you don't realize that as a child you store these things.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. It's funny you say that. I remember my mum, she's a singer, and she was singing that song from Fame, I'm Gonna Leave Forever. And so I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, but as a little kid.
My mum used to do that as well, make up all the songs to say that she's going to ditch us and never come back. So, so must have been an 80s thing, mate.
Yeah.
So and then it wasn't long after that. And then okay, so after that, like I found that I had no more trauma built up, right?
Right.
So there was one other thing, right, that I did, and it wasn't long after that where I got to this point where I was like, okay, I was going for a walk. I got nearly to the furthest point away because I'd walk 10 kilometers every morning.
Yeah.
I got to this one part where, and I was meditating while I was walking on trying to let go of this place here where I am now. Because I was like, okay, that's my last big one, you know? So I really concentrated on it, and I was saying, okay, once I got it all out and everything processed through my mind, I was like, okay, take 5 deep breaths and let it out. one second, I need a prop for this. You need to see this.
Okay, cool. And for the people who are just listening to this, we'll walk them through it. One moment, please.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. I like the action.
This is really cool, right? Now,
Yeah.
these things here, right, are like cloths that I put on the tables for people to put their beers on, because with the heat and everything just turns into a puddle of water on your table.
Yeah.
Now, I hated these things, right? Because they come from China, and they're sort of like half pink. They've washed out now, but they're half pink and blue. I don't like pink stuff. Like, it's not really a color that you have in
Not your color, is it, Matt? No?
No, not in a manly sort of bar, you know. So it was a bit of a bone of contention, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I was doing this walk, and I'm like, okay, take 5 breaths, let it in, let it out, and on the 5th breath, let it go, and it's gone forever, right? Got to the 5th breath, I literally took no more than 2 steps, and I looked down on the ground, and there's a big pile of rubbish on the side of the road, and that was on the side of the road.
Wow.
It was one of mine, like rubbish on the side of the road, about 5 k's from home.
Yeah.
And that was literally on the side of the road. I took a photo of it. I'll shoot it across to you.
Yeah.
But how does that happen?
Yeah. Wow.
Right at the exact time that I let it go, it took 2 more steps, and
that was there. Wow.
Yeah. So that was a little bit freaky. And then there was an incident with a bull a couple of days later, where I got chased by a bull.
As you do,
and,
like a full-on bull, like the Spain kind of bulls. Yeah, righto. Yeah.
Got chased by a bull, man. It trashed everything. It tried to get me like twice.
What?
Twice or 3 times, but yeah. And
you weren't waving that flag, were you? It saw the pink in it too?
No, nothing. It seen my eyes, and it just went berserk and broke away from the person who was looking after it, and it wanted to kill me.
Wow. Did you just run?
Yeah. Because I was doing this like on that sort of one. I was trying to manifest and bring about my dreams, and all I got was a crazy bull. So yeah.
What do you think that meant?
Yeah. No. Look, I know about the bull of manifestation. So and I took that as my spur up, because at that stage, my son started to say that he wanted to come back down here, back to Phuket, and go back to school and be around his old friends. And he didn't like it up there, and it was a lot more difficult on him, because he started to go to a school up there, and then because he doesn't look Thai, the whole racist thing started coming in, and and people don't realize that we're actually us sort of Caucasian people, we're the victims of racism more than anyone could ever be. Like I don't think people realize that. When you come over to places in Asia, you can really see it. So
wow.
Yeah. So anyway, so my son, that bull was a sign for me that it was actually time to start getting my
your wriggle on.
Yeah, my wriggle on. I was going to say pull the finger out, but
you can say that too.
But the wriggle on's much more polite. So, but so I was at that point, and then my son's like, okay, like he wanted to come back to school, and he didn't like it there. So I knew at this stage it was time to go. So just out of inspiration one day, like I didn't plan it. There was nowhere for us to live or anything back down in Phuket. I was just like, just wing it. We'll find something. So me and my boy, we packed up the car. My wife, she didn't want to go at that stage. She wanted to stay up there. And I'm like, well, we've got to go. So it is what it is. I've got to do the right thing by my son.
Yeah.
So, so we come back down to Phuket. I was lucky enough. I was able to get him back into his old school. So that was cool. That sort of all happened organically. But then we got to Phuket, and we couldn't find any place to live. So we were basically just moving from hotel to hotel with no sort of permanent place that we could find. Because after COVID, everything's opened up again. most of the hotels and everything, that they're only running at about 30% because they can't get the staff back, and that there's more people here than what people knew what to do with. So we couldn't find an apartment, we couldn't find a bungalow, we couldn't find anything. Like, it was literally just so for 2-3 weeks of living on the road, we were just, he was going to school, he was happy during the day, but we just have to move a hotel. And man, I was really starting to question what I was doing then at that stage. It was like, what have I done? You know, like, I brought us back here, and you know, how do I sort of tell the kid that we've got nowhere to live, you know? Like, but eventually we found a little place, like a dirty little place on the other end of town. It was about 45 minutes away and people think, oh, you live in Phuket, but where we were living at the time, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So here I am thinking I'm on this journey, and everything's going to go smoothly, and it was probably worse than before.
Wow.
The little bit of money that I had saved, that was just going bang, 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 going quickly, because we just everything got more expensive after COVID, and all that type of stuff. And so we settled in this little place. He was happy, he was getting to school. So and that was all I was really concerned about at the time, making sure that the little guy's happy. So it was at this stage, like, and I was getting to rock bottom again. Like, I was starting to, you know, questioning everything I was doing at this stage. I was just thinking, man, I'm just, you know, I've done the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So so it was at that point that an old mate of mine gave me a call, that he worked out of Singapore, but he's got a big apartment here and stuff. And I've known his family. We go back probably about 10 or 12 years. And he got in contact with me, and we caught up for dinner and stuff like that. And he's seen how I was living. And it was funny, like, this guy, like, while we were so close, years before that, his son, when he was young, when he was about 12 or 13, they moved back to the States, and his son was addicted to marijuana and stuff like that, as kids, a lot of kids in the States do. But he developed a really strong addiction to it. So they moved the kid back over here, and he went to boarding school. And the kid was getting in trouble at boarding school here. So instead of him staying there all the time, I said to my mate, I said, look, just let him spend weekends and school holidays here if you're not around. And then that way he's not stuck at school all the time. Wow. So I had a lot to do with this kid. And because of the policing stuff and all that, and I could take him diving, and I was able to really look after this kid well and get it all out. The kid's 25 now. He's really successful. He's done an apprenticeship and all that type of thing. He's done really well in life.
That's awesome.
But I was able to help him. But at that time, I never thought that was something that I needed to be repaid back for or help.
Yeah, no, you're doing it out of your kindness of your heart. Yeah.
My reward was seeing that kid grow up well and do well. And
absolutely, yeah.
And my son absolutely loved him when they were young. You know, like, he just my son was about 2 or 3 at the time. He just thought that was his big brother, and you know, it was just such a beautiful thing. But anyway, so he gets in contact with me, and we catch up for a chat, and he's seeing the way that we're living, and you know, and he's just going, mate, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, you know, this is life now. You know, this is all we've got. So, and did think nothing of it. And then after a few weeks, he started saying, you know, oh, you should take your old place back in Caron. And I'm saying, oh, mate, wouldn't that be the pipe dream? But, you know, I said, it's just never going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, it's, mate, I'm might as well have to win Tats Lotto to be able to do something like that. It's just not on the cards. I wasn't even thinking of that.
Yeah.
But then as time going on, he's like, oh, yeah. And then I sort of had this feeling like, because he had to fly back to Singapore and then was going back to the States. And before he was leaving, he was really putting on me. He's saying, man, you should think about it, you know, like, you do really well. And I'm saying, thanks, mate, but yeah, no chance. So he gets to Singapore, and then I'm really starting to think it, because it's seeded in my head then.
Yeah.
And then he went back to Singapore, and he gave me a call. And he said, look, mate, he goes, well, he goes, everything you've done for my family and stuff, he said, I want to get you back on your feet. He said, take your place back, rebuild it and start again. So, yeah, how do you take a phone call like that when someone's just offered to essentially give you everything back, everything you've lost?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So big.
It was probably the most emotional phone call I've ever had in my life. He was crying.
Yeah, I can feel it now.
Yeah, he was crying.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand the genuine nature of life.
Mm.
If somebody says to you, I'll give you something, but you've got to pay me back and I'm going to put you on a payment plan, forget it, right?
Mm.
And I said to him, I said, mate, how can I repay? And he said, don't worry about repayments. He said, just get everything back, get yourself back on your feet. He goes, we'll worry about it later. He said, you don't know what you've done for me. He goes, he goes, I've always wanted to be able to help you. He goes, but you've never needed help.
Mm.
He said, it's his honor to be able to, and man, it was one of the first times in my life, I think my neck felt like it was, yeah, like locked.
Yeah.
So, and I said to him, I said, okay, mate, look, we'll talk about it later. I said, I've just got to get out of here for now. I've just got to go and clear my head. And my wife, she was looking at me saying, what's wrong? And I'm saying, oh, look, I'll be back in a minute. I've just got to go for a drive. This is the freaky part, right? I get in my car, like I just had an old crappy iPhone. Yeah.
Mm.
I threw it in the car, but it always connects to my car stereo.
Mm.
So I turned the car on and threw the phone down. And when I got in the car, I played a song on random. And it played the song called Aerials by System of a Down.
Mm.
And I've explained this to Dale. Dale loves this part of the story because
Mm.
the lyrics of that song are exactly what I'd just been through without knowing what I'd been through in the previous sort of period of time as to losing the business and the hero's journey of all that and what I'd just been through, and to find out in that moment and to hear that song at that particular time as the journey was coming to an end was, yeah, if that's not a sign of what this realm is about, or that there's more to this life than what it is, I can't tell you. I don't. You'd understand it more than what I would.
Yeah, no, it's
But
just, it's beautiful. And for people who might not know that song, do you remember those lyrics? Do you remember that? Because it's sort of like a sort of the opening lyrics, isn't it?
yeah, life is a waterfall. We're one in the river and one again after the fall. Swimming through the void, we hear the word. We lose ourselves, but we find it all. Yeah,
Wow.
I think is the way it goes. And yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, if anyone's not a System of a Down fan, it's pretty heavy music, but the lyrics to that song, yeah, I've never heard anything like it, and it gives me chills just thinking about it now.
Yeah. Did you just break down in that moment, like just cry, or?
Yeah. I had to stop and yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I was able to get around. I got myself a nice coffee and had a cigarette, and yeah, I was fine after that.
Yeah. Far out. I love that story so much. It's so big and so profound, and like you've had like a number of heroes' journeys within that hero's journey as well, and then just to have that song play, like I would have lost it. I would have lost it.
It's unbelievable. But then it made everything easy. Like people, like to rebuild this place, we had to build it from the ground up again, right?
Yeah.
But everything was easy. Like, how can I say? Like now, like I still get problems, like everyday problems come up now, like everyone's life does.
Yeah.
But everything is so easy now. And it's like when people talk about the hero's journey and they say that you come back and you're the master of two worlds.
Well, yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah.
being a master of two worlds isn't like getting around like Mr. Miyagi or something and knowing everything.
No.
You're still everyday problems still happen, but they are so easy to solve.
Yeah.
And I find like people come and ask me for advice. I don't tell many people advice because it's not worth it, because people don't come to you ask for advice because they want to hear your advice. They come and ask for you to reaffirm what they want to believe.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like there's
Yes.
a big difference.
Yeah.
But being able to solve problems is so easy. Like before, anything that come up in Thai, in like the Thai side of life here, my wife would sort out. Now she wants me to sort it out because I sort it out very, very quickly and very easily. Where for her, it's back and forth for a couple of days. Me, it takes me about 3 minutes to sort out a major problem. Because, again, I speak Thai, but I only know how to speak Thai very politely. And what I love about speaking Thai is I have to choose my words.
Yes.
Where in English, I just flap my gums and it comes out. But Thai language, I really have to be, I only like to speak Thai politely, but I have to choose my words very carefully to get my point across. And I think because I take that time to slow down, everything becomes easier because it's coming from the right heart space. People feel that, and then I get what I want.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and people do feel that, don't they? They can feel where
Yeah.
you're coming from. And it's because quite often it's not the words, it's the energy. And I mean, ultimately it is the energy because people, do feel that, don't they?
Yeah, they do. It's that genuine nature. And this is what I try to do now. Just everything I do is from that. Again, no, I try to be in the heart space, but you don't want to be there all the time because it's
big.
that's a two-edged sword there.
Mm,
But just do everything genuinely,
yeah.
just with genuine care for people, and everything turns out okay.
Yeah, it does. And I think these are the things, these heroes' journeys that we go through, they really are for us. And even though it can be quite gritty and painful during it, what the wisdom and the strength and the resilience and the compassion and just everything that comes with it, like you would never not go through that to not have that, would you?
No. And look, what I say is, I honestly think the suburbs of every country are full of people that quit on their journey and are just happy just to say, oh, you know what, it was too hard, it wasn't my time, and bad luck. But yeah, I'll try again next time. But there is no next time. You really have to push through these things. And when the journeys come up, the hero's journey, it's your opportunity to be the hero. To be the hero of your own life. Where so many people are just like, oh no, that was on a movie, that doesn't happen. And yeah, it does happen, but you've got to have that grit and that want to make your life better. And making your life better isn't sitting in an outer suburb of Melbourne, being able to watch Ready Steady Cook every day, or what else do they watch in Australia? I've got no idea, the TV shows.
Yeah, who knows? Just something.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, is that what you're meant to do in life? Or were you meant to challenge yourself and to step into your own power? I don't think people realize how much power you have.
Yeah.
The whole industry, everything on YouTube, everything on TV is there to take away your power. Why would they invest so much money on distracting you from yourself? You know what I mean? Like that, and that's what the biggest distraction is to keep you from yourself. Why would they spend so much money to distract you away from yourself? You know, it's the same as the alternative media. The alternative media is probably the worst one that's set up, because they've set it up with all this information. You could spend years researching a topic, only to come to the realization that it means nothing, that there is no information.
Yeah.
Why was it set up there? Why do they set up all these
rabbit holes?
Rabbit holes and conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
When they're all empty holes, every one of them. There's nothing conclusive, and they were set up. It's like it's like the AI or something was set up before and had all these predetermined things just to keep you running around and chasing your own tail.
Yeah, distracting you from yourself, like you said, because we are, and I always say it too, we are just so freaking powerful. If we realize how powerful we actually are, all of us, I mean, far out. I mean, that in itself, just that one thing that you've said about being distracted, that's just one piece of the pie, and that's keeping us away from ourselves. How powerful must we be? How powerful?
That's it. It's endless.
Yeah.
And, and we put ourselves through these trials through life because that was our life purpose. We're meant to challenge ourselves. We're meant to go through these things.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe why ancient cultures had a process of, initiation and stuff like that when they're in their teenage years. Maybe that's what it's all about, to prepare you for that journey to, what was our preparation? Watching Happy Days.
Yeah. Oh, now you got that. These days are rough. Oh, but you're right. You're right. And I mean, I've asked this in a podcast recently as well too. Do you believe we chose to come here for this and for this time and our experiences before coming in?
I've got no doubt that is why we're here. I think we're here to witness something. I think that there's definitely an awakening with a lot of people, and again, like this is where the internet's like Occam's razor, because like people like us, we're talking now. How would that be possible? Like Dale comes over here all the time, mate. We sit around and natter like old women all the time. You know what I mean? Like how have we been able to use this technology for something good? Where other people just use it for the sleazy and dirty side.
Well, yeah.
So
No, I was going to say, you touch on a point, like with technology is great. It can be used for good or evil, and we're using it to spread light, to spread truth, to bring joy, to share stories, to uplift, and be there for each other. I mean, it's huge, isn't it?
Oh, it is, mate. And it's stories like mine. Like, I'd be happy to keep it to myself, never speaking about it again. But it's all there. That's exactly what happened to me. And I just want people to know, like, instead of being downtrodden, when things go wrong, look at it as a blessing. If the financial system goes bust and you lose everything, know that you're going to survive.
Yeah.
Mate, I did it on the rice fields of northeast Thailand, like probably the poorest of the poor places in the world. You can do it. You can get back on your feet. You can be humble. You can take it all in your stride. Know that, mate, the governments of the world, if you don't believe in what they do or whatever, let them take it. Let them take everything from you. But they can't take you from you. And you're the one, mate. Your heart is the one that's going to get you through. That's what makes you successful.
Absolutely.
Don't ever think that the government's all conquering, mate. The government aren't nothing. Once people realize who and what they are, and they don't need to be a child anymore, they can actually be mature and grown up. Then the world's an easy place. But I think this is the problem with the world, Narita, is that we've become a race of adult children. People are childlike. Like I see it every day in people. It's just like, even when I was working as a copper, like going to a domestic, right? All the paperwork that you have to do for a domestic argument, right? I'd sit people down. I'd grab people and I'd sit them down and I'd say, okay, look, we're going to do all this paperwork now. You see how much work I've got to do? I'm going to be busy here all day because of you two knuckleheads. Sit down, because I wanted to get to the point to them and say, well, why do I have to come to your house? Yeah? Why does me as a policeman have to come to your house and tell you how to live your domestic life? Think about it logically, right? If the police have to turn up to your house because you're having an argument that you can't solve, that's like asking mummy and daddy to come and sort out all your problems. how can you not be responsible enough for your own life and mature enough to say, oh, you know what, this isn't working, like this isn't great, maybe we should just split up, or maybe I should think about, doing the right thing a little bit more, or maybe I shouldn't cheat, maybe I shouldn't get drunk every night. It's not that hard. Life isn't that complicated. But as soon as you need police involvement to come to your house to tell you how to live, that's pretty sick.
Mm. Mm.
And this is the way everyone's got. Oh, the government says I have to do this, I have to do that. No, you should be adult enough to be able to run your own life and rule your own life. You don't need police to come and tell you that, oh, you need to wear a seatbelt when you drive a car, because if you have an accident, that should just be common sense.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't talk on my phone. Maybe I should concentrate on the road. Like to me, that's common sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I don't need anyone to tell me to do right from wrong. It's just, I'm an adult. I know. I don't have to be told to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go for a walk. That's just something that I know. If I could get up at 6 a.m. and go for a walk, I know I come home, I feel good. That's my reward.
Yeah.
I don't have to do it. I don't, my boss said I have to get up and I have to go. No. If you change everything around and say, I want to do this. It's my choice to get up and go to work early because it makes me feel good and blah, 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 and I get extra pay or whatever. But if it makes you feel better, do it. But don't do things because you have to do them. After doing stuff, mate, you're a slave. When you do things and you choose to do them, well, you're actually free.
Absolutely. And, to your point about the people feeling like seeing people as children and not adults, like I think a lot of that also comes down to people not working through their own trauma yet, or looking within and doing that work on themselves. Do you feel like that plays a big part in it too?
Yeah, of course, because look, I don't think people realize, like, right from a child age, how many deaths have they seen on TV? Even though it's only make believe.
Well, your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference. That's the thing. It doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No. So you think how much trauma a kid has them now at the kids that are around now. By the time they're 8, 9 years old, they're absolutely full.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those things. And then as you said, I think that's what it is. That trauma keeps you in a in that state all your life where it doesn't allow you to grow and develop.
And then it's not until you do things like what you've done yourself, is gone out and seeked someone to work with to do some healing and to learn about yourself and what you can do, because until you do that, then you're walking around in those patterns and programs that were developed from a young age. And so when you're reacting, when you're seeing these people argue, they're arguing from their 8-year-old selves. And that's why the big kids are walking around. Hey.
Certainly is, mate. And and this is where we just need to get to the bottom of it. And as I said, the hardest thing is to take that first step.
Yeah.
But for me to contact an energy healer was actually easier than trying to get counseling through the policing sort of things. I just found it easy to go to the spiritual side, and the best thing I ever did.
Yeah. And I love your story so much, and I'm so grateful that you share it with people, because there's so much that people can put themselves into that story and either relate to it or, okay, how would I handle that? And it gives them that time to be able to reflect upon their own life as well. So I so appreciate that, Matty.
And if they can get through it, just realize that there are these points along the way. And if you feel like you're starting the journey, smash through it, because you're going to get hit in the face again, and you're gonna come down, and it's up and down until you get that breakthrough. The breakthrough is worth it. Just keep going.
Yeah. Love that. I love that. Is there I could chat to you all day, and I probably would if I could, but is there anything else on your heart that you'd love to share before we sort of start to wrap things up, Matty?
Look, not really at the moment. All I'm going to say is just please keep going, guys. If this shit show that's going around the corner or whatever, if it's going to keep on going, it is what it is. There's nothing you can do. All you can do is change yourself, get strong, get yourself in the wrong heart space. Know that, look, no matter what prank they play on us next, know that it's only a prank. They can't hurt you. What can they take away from you? Things, material things. You're still going to survive. You don't need any of that stuff. All you need is yourself, you know? And from that strength of believing in yourself, you'll be able to look after your family, your kids, whatever. But don't worry about it. You're not going to lose everything. It's only just material possessions, but never lose yourself. And that's what they're after.
Yeah. Love that. Never lose yourself. Come back to yourself. Love
That's it.
Oh, thank you, Matt. Thank you so much for being on the show today. How can people find and connect with you if they want to?
I've got a YouTube channel that I haven't really used for a while, but yeah, I'm sort of getting inspired to start banging a few things out. So that's called Matty V Phuket, Matty V Phuket. So YouTube there, and then yeah, I don't know, either through if they want to shoot us an email, or I'll check in the comments of stuff anyway. So if anyone drops a comment, I'll have a look back through it, and yeah, get in contact with me that way. I'm in Caron Beach. I've got a place called Skippers. Skippers in Caron. So yeah, if anyone want to drop past, have a beer or have a coffee and a chat, I'm always here. So it's my favorite place to be. I'm here from the time I get back from a walk till, I don't know, about 10 o'clock at night until I have to pull the pin. So yeah, I'm always here. So yeah, if anyone's got the inspiration and they're over, drop past, have a chat. I love having a chin wag.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely. And I will definitely be coming there when I come to Thailand again. So that will be absolutely awesome. So while I am speaking, I want to also thank you at home for tuning in today to hear Matt's story and just hanging out with us, having a good old fashioned chin wag. It has been so awesome. As always, like, subscribe, share with a friend if you love this episode. Leave a comment as well. Always love hearing from you. And like Matt said, he'll be in the comments as well. So definitely chat there. But so thank you for being here. And Matt, just want to thank you again for being here and just being exactly who you are.
Thanks, mate. And look, thanks a lot for the opportunity. I'd love people that, you know, like yourself, that make this content and push it out there. I think it's just a fantastic thing. You do it in such a genuine way as well, is what I really like. It's yeah, you could tell it's you and not someone that's trying to hide for something. So yeah, it's really good, mate. And any way I can help you out in the future, mate, I'd love to, because it's just, yeah, I just think it's brilliant.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for saying that. So appreciate it. Yeah. Well, thanks, Matty. Thanks for being on the show.
Cool, mate.